we get all on the juicy, gets so juicy, we get, pressed for time. I'm going to get right into it. All right.
Okay.
So the first question I have to ask you guys is, during our Marriage Business Monday, when we had Ron and Shamari on, they mentioned you guys going on this exploration, to figure out if they were destined partners. That's the word she used, destiny partners. And if they should be together. You wanted to talk about that before you even start talking about advice and giving them marriage advice or helping them out. You guys asked them, you said you want to make sure that they're right for each other. So for married and single people, what advice can you guys give them to know if, they're with the right person? Or for our singles, what should they be looking for to identify the person who is right for them?
Okay, that's a great question.
Well, it is. So I would say for singles, you just really want to make sure that, you're aware of your core values and you want to know their core values. You need to make sure your core values align. And along with core values, you also want to make sure what are their convictions, and what are your convictions. And you all need to communicate that, because that can be a problem if especially when it comes to money. If somebody's like, yeah, well, I'm all about saving this amount of money every month. Like, I can't do this, I can't do that, because of their own stuff that they bringing in from, their childhood that they need to go work out. So those can be problems. So, somebody's single, you do want to make sure you're aware of what those convictions are. And then you actually, you just really want to, we call it like the 4 C's that you would really want to ask somebody. It's like what are your core values? What are your convictions? You want to talk about commitment, like, understanding commitment. And then you also want to talk to them about change, because you want to make sure, tell me about a time when you had to, make a change, making sure that they're okay with change. And they're, it's not somebody that's all stuck. I can't change. I can't do this. You really actually want to have those real conversations.
Yeah, agree. So look, that's good. That's good. And so one of the things that I also say is that being a destiny partner is someone that we believe that God has assigned to your life to help you accomplish or fulfill your destiny. Okay. So then that means that legacy is also attached to that. So with that being said, what we normally want to do is always just ask the person, just ask the person with you're dating, just having a casual conversation, like, what is your dream? What is your purpose? You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the things that we do with, all the couples we work with. It's just like, well, let's just see, because individually, you shouldn't hide your passion. You shouldn't hide your purpose. So it's not like all of a sudden I got married, but then I had to set my dreams to the side, set my purpose to the side to just make sure my husband or my wife could fulfill theirs. No, because if God gave you something before you met this person, your purpose and destiny was already written into your legacy. So you can't just hide that. So that's one of the things that we would always just ask. And even with the divulge, we wanted to just make sure, Shamari, who are you? What is your purpose? What did God give you? And then kind of take them on a dream exploration. Now, everybody's not qualified at doing that, but you know what I'm saying? But you want to just kind of see, if we went into like a dream world, just help me to understand, what does your dream world look like? What does vision look like to you? And then let's be clear about what that is. Then I'm like, okay, Ron, boom, tell me about yours. Because what has to happen, we want to make sure that, like, some people will say, I just feel like my spouse just does what I want to do. You see what I'm saying? We kind of hear that, you know what I'm saying? So in other words, let's just see clearly, do you understand and do you see your vision and your purpose? And then what happens is, like we'll tell anybody, there should be alignment there. There should be alignment there. You know what I'm saying? That there should be a way that we can see, okay, how does this kind of segue into one another? Because again, your destiny has legacy attached to it. So if your destiny is to do something and you don't need me, then it's like, how can I impact that? Because if you don't need me to fulfill your destiny, then guess what? You're going to be constantly wondering and getting like, well, why I'm putting up with this? Why you here? Because you can be replaced. But if you absolutely know this person has significant impact to me fulfilling my destiny, that's a partner.
That is a word. That's a whole word. I'm sitting here like, y'all should see me. I'm taking notes. I got a whole notepad full of notes already, and that was just question number one.
Right.
I love the answers because you guys are so in tune with me. Like, I feel like I mean, you're speaking my language when you talk about alignment and core values and all of those things and destiny. And, I say dynasty, y'all say destiny.
Exactly.
But we both kind of speak from that purpose standpoint. So I love all of this. And I love how you guys make it plain for people. Like, the 4 C's: core value, connection, commitment, and change. Like, are you willing to change? Are you able to change? Tell me about your, experience with change. Because, those are really good questions. And then going into another C, coaches, having somebody who can really direct these conversations and not necessarily having people out there with inexperienced folks trying to do this on their own. You guys are the professionals. That's why we saw Ronnie and Shamari just bubbling and all each other, because you guys, they have been down the road with you guys and in the trenches with you guys, and they've done the work, but they had a coach to kind of help guide them. They were not trying to figure this thing out on their own and do it on their own. So I do like the fact that you guys said there's some work that needs to be done, but it needs to be guided work. You need to have professionals who can help guide, and coaches help guide these conversations around these core C's. So in summary, I heard you guys say that as you're looking to understand if this is your destined partner, you got to understand, what's the core value? What's the connection? Are we connected? Do we, what's the commitment look like? Can we be committed to each other? And then what does change look like? And what's your experience with change? And are you able to foster change within the confines of this relationship? And then I also heard you guys say especially our singles, as they're looking at, who they date, understanding passion and purpose and looking for alignment there. Because you don't want to be with somebody and like the church folks call it equally yoked. You don't want to be somebody you're not equally yoked with or aligned with the passion and purpose, because otherwise you're on this journey, I guess, trying to fulfill their purpose and their passion, and you're feeling lost, and that probably can show up like resentment.
Exactly.
If I'm so focused on you, pursuing your purpose and meeting your purpose, and I'm totally missing out on what God's gifts are for my life and how I'm creating that impact for the world, right? So I love that. Those are also awesome points and great. Before I go to the next thing, I want to talk a little bit about something else that came up during our last call, during our last marriage business conversation, because it was something else that Ron and Shamari brought up, and it was they talked about one of the things that you guys did after you guys talked about, are you destiny partners? Are y'all even meant to be together before we even do any work? Are y'all meant to be together? You talked about this declaration, this day of declaration, as a part of your coaching and your therapy sessions with them. And so when you're working with couples, can you talk a little bit more about that day of declaration? And is that something that you strongly encourage couples to have a therapist or a coach along with them during that day of declaration? And for some people, depending on how long y'all been together and how much experience you have, day of declaration could turn into a week of declaration.
Exactly. Oh yeah,
declaration. You can have a whole lot of declaration you need to do.
Exactly.
So tell me about that.
No, that's
it could be pages. Yeah, because it is a process. It's one of our exercises, but we take the clients through a process because we have to get you to the place where you're ready to have a day of declaration, because it is a day where you're actually coming clean. It's like I'm becoming a glass house, because we talk a lot about being transparently truthful. I want to be transparently truthful in my relationship. I don't want to hide anything from you. So on this day of declaration, we're actually getting everything out. And with some people, yeah, it could be pages, because not only is it things that I may have hidden from you, but it's also offenses, anything that I have done or said that has hurt you. So I'm getting everything out. I'm just laying it all out. And then we take them through a process where they actually do a heartfelt apology for these things afterwards, because now it's like we're not bringing it. Once we've discussed it and we've done a heartfelt apology, we're not bringing it up anymore. It's like it's done. It's buried. Like, so I'm not going to dig up no dirt after this. I'm making a commitment that I'm not digging this back up and throwing it in your face again. So basically from there, it's like, I'm only going to bring it up if I'm using it to educate or enlighten another couple. You know, I can talk about, just like with us, we talk about our stuff. It's encouraging and enlighten other couples. But basically, once we've gotten all of this out and we've apologized, we're not bringing it up anymore. And everybody is not ready for this. That's why I say that's why I wouldn't advise doing it without a professional. Because, and some couples, like, we may not even do it with them. It's because some people just not ready. And you know, as a professional, we know when someone is ready to be transparently truthful. We want all couples to be there, because that's where you have to be to have this happiness, to have what you saw in Ron and Shamar. You have to be transparently truthful with one another. But we do understand for some people it's a process and it takes them a while to do it. But that's the goal.
Yeah. And where that came from, Bonika, is like I had mentioned about, you know, in our book, A Blessed Affair. Okay, because all of this is things that we talked about. Like we say, you know, we got to this place coming from a place of pain, you know, coming into the purpose that God has for us. So the day of declaration really was, the way God gave it to me was, I want you to declare all of these things. It's almost like how they say in church, you know what, you need to confess. You know what I'm saying? So one of those things is, I'm declaring today that there is no more hiding. I'm declaring today, anything that I've done to hurt you, I want you to know that I'm sorry. So then that's why we have to go into a heartfelt apology behind that. But that's what that day of declaration. And in the book, I also say it's almost like a day of reckoning, because now you're going to come to some truths. You know, for some people, your day of declaration is a day of freedom, because it may have been something you've been holding on to and you were looking for that time to be able to get it off of your chest. Well, then now your declaration becomes your day of liberty. So that's where the day of declaration came from. And like what Woodrina say, we do have to build you to that place, because see, some truths that you hear as a spouse could take you back down a rabbit hole. Like, so now you telling me when this happened, then you actually did that. So then if that's the case, then that means when you was going on these trips, so it can start going down a rabbit hole. So you really want to get them to a place where they are emotionally, mentally, and spiritually ready to hear truth.
I love that. That is so good. I'm so glad you talked about the book too. Well, before I get to the book, so this whole like day of declaration, you've helped me understand it a bit more, because at first, I guess when we talked about it during our first session, I was thinking it's like I just let out all my little skeletons and all of that, and it is some of that. But it also sounds like it's this freeing, like this, and I know that Shamari mentioned like this forgiveness thing. But it's hard to forgive if you don't know what you're forgiving. But it also is not just all the things that I did or that you could hear about, or it also sounds like I was being mean to you on purpose because you hurt me and I felt this resentment. I did this, or I held back from you and giving you the things that you needed. We talked about the love languages. I didn't give you physical touch because you did this. So it's like the declaration is not just the whole skeletons that's in the closet thing. It sounds like it's also like my heart. It's like I'm freeing my heart, and I'm kind of letting you know all of the things, you know, that happened, or where there was hurt or resentment or pain. And it's kind of this wiping this slate clean. I love the way you know, you kind of I love that. Do you feel like people have to hit like rock bottom before they get there, before they're ready to do that work?
No, I won't necessarily say you have to get, because again, it is about emotional maturity. You know, because again, when you're hearing someone's truth, you have to be able to put it into a perspective to where now you don't become the offender, you become the judger, you become. So I don't necessarily know if rock bottom is because some people can just be like, no, honestly, my heart is ready to hear this. And they're not actually at rock bottom. You know what I'm saying? It's just that this was a hurt for me, but I do want to move forward because there's no need for a day of declaration if we're not going to move forward. There's no need for that because why do I have to declare to you to cause you to have more offense towards me when your heart is not going to forgive me anyway?
Yeah, that's true.
That's deep. That's so deep. I mean, so do you feel like people have to declare that I'm ready to forgive before y'all can even get to that point?
Absolutely.
Yes, they have to be
That's
ready.
a prerequisite before day of declaration. You got to say, I'm willing to forgive.
Exactly.
Right. And that's the reason why we always say you want to have a professional, because we'll have some people that be like, oh yeah, I'm waiting on that day of declaration. Because see, but you're not really ready yet.
Right.
So that's the reason why it's different from being really ready with the heart willing to forgive and just like, I want to know what you done did. Because we'll have some couples that'll be like that. And it's like, no, but you're not ready yet. Because you're not going to have an attitude or you're not going to be like, I can't wait to hear.
Because their spirit ain't even right. Their spirit ain't even right.
Exactly.
You know, you coming to judge and you ain't coming to forgive. So y'all can smell it from a mile away.
You got to discern that out. You got to discern that out.
Yeah.
And that's why I say you kind of
y'all feel that y'all ain't ready. Y'all just ready. I love that. Y'all don't play. Y'all don't play with people.
No,
they ain't coming in there with no mess with you.
We'll do
Y'all say leave that mess out. Y'all, if you ain't ready to come clean, then you gonna leave that mess else. I love that. I love that because it's not about. You can tell it's not about money for you guys. It's really about this ministry. It's about ministry for you. So for some people, I feel like the work is about money, and then for some, it's about ministry. And clearly, I can see with you guys, it's about ministry. So you mentioned the book, Coach Martez. And so let's talk a little bit about Blessed Affair. So is Blessed Affair your story, or tell us a little bit more about Blessed Affair?
Yes, Blessed Affair is our story. So basically the book, but I guess where do you want to start? Because God was telling him to write the book. But anyway, it's based off of our story of overcoming infidelity. So basically it is our story, but it was written from his perspective because I was the one, this was when he cheated early in the marriage. This was when I had an affair. So it's written from his perspective, and I got a little bit that I talk about at the end of each chapter, but basically it was his process, where it was basically our process of healing and overcoming, but it's written from his perspective.
So basically, like we say, and when we were on the 700 Club, we talked about it, and we talked a little bit about it on the Oprah Winfrey Network thing. But really, a blessed affair was because at this time, Bonika, I was actually serving as an assistant pastor. That's why I tell people ministry is that's just a part of me. I can't take it out of me because that's who we are.
Yeah.
And so really, God had honestly given me a vision, and he literally said to me, he said, Woodrina is having an affair. And then God said to me, he said, and right now it's about to become physical. The moment that God was saying this to me was the very moment when she was in Virginia, actually getting ready to go into the act. And so what God said to me, and I actually had an out-of-body experience. It's almost like I went into an operating room, and it was just a lot of light around me. It was almost like I was on a surgical table. And God had literally, it was like the angels had like opened up my heart. Literally, I remember this. And it was like God was just saying to me, there are things I got to take out of you, and there are things I got to put in you. And so God was just doing a work on my heart, like I'm on a surgical table. And I remember God, when the Spirit said to me, he said, because I need you to get ready to write a journal of your process of healing. And I want you to call it a blessed affair. Be careful what you curse. Your curse could be your blessing. And he said, you all are going to be ministers of reconciliation. You see what I'm saying? And so then that was how this came out. So that's why we tell people the book It's all God. Everything I tell people, I'm not just gifted in my thinking anything. I'm just one of those people that God said something to, and I'm willing to believe it and just write it and just say what he said. So really, at one time, I was writing a message to the church: be careful what you curse. Your curse could be your blessing. Remember, I told you I was preaching, Bonika. So, I'm ready to preach this word. I'm boom, boom, boom. But then God told me a few months later, he said that word wasn't for the church. He said that word is for your marriage. I want you to be careful what you curse, because your curse is going to be your blessing. And so that's really what this is about. And so that's why we say all the chapters that you read, these were the things that God was saying to me to write to help others to heal.
And that's why for us it's ministry, and we really take it to heart, because I was on a whole nother trajectory. I was going to school I was working on my master's degree when I had the affairs in education. I was working on my master's in education and actually wanted to go on to get my doctorate because I wanted to open my own school. But God said no. When I was going through it, it was so painful. The Spirit was speaking to me saying, you're going back to school. You are, but you're going back to school to become a licensed professional counselor so that you're able to help other people overcome the same thing that you're dealing with now, and also be able to help couples to prevent going down this road. So for us, because of the fact that we know what we're doing, we were called by God to do, we really do take it like it's not about the money. It's so really, that's why we really have a session where we meet with clients first, because we not only are you making the decision if we are a right fit for you all, but we're trying to see if y'all are right fit for us. Because we know you got to really be committed and ready for this process that we're taking you through, because we don't take it for granted. It's not, we're serious about this. Marriage, we're serious about what we do, and we're serious about people overcoming their challenges and getting to the other side of happiness where we are.
Because that's we completely understand you coming across our path. We can affect destiny in your life.
Yes.
We don't take that lightly. We don't.
Yeah, it's clear to me that you guys are on this journey for a ministry, because it's a gift. It's so very clear. That's why I said it's not. You can tell that it's not about the money; it's about the ministry. Anytime you can say, "I got to turn you away," because we discern that this is not right, and that you're also discerning if they're a good fit for you guys as well. I just love that. So, I want to ask you though, Coach Martez, this is really one for you, because I see, in couples, you'll see, we'll use infidelity or affairs. We'll use, trust has been broken. Whatever the issue is, you often see this willingness for women that come from women to fight and save their marriage. But my question for you is, you can't save a marriage by yourself. I see women, I want to save my marriage. I want to save my marriage. And or my husband won't read the book. What can I do to make him read the book? Can I still save the marriage if I'm the one reading the book and he's not reading the book? He's not reading. And so oftentimes I see this willingness for women, and Coach Woodrina, you probably see this too, a willingness for women, because our heart is more nurturing, saving. That's who we are at the core. Where men have this pride thing, that's hard to break sometimes. So, Coach Martez, how can you encourage men to put the pride aside and fight for their marriage when there's been those adversities or challenges? Because oftentimes I see when the man is involved in saving the marriage, there's more likelihood or higher chances of winning and having salvation. I even heard it a little bit with Ron and Shamari when they were on, kind of her saying, I kept asking him to get counseling. I kept asking him to get counseling. She was the one that was wanting it, but not until he did it did they have that breakthrough. So, Coach Martez, what can you do to encourage men to put that pride aside, fight for their marriages so we can see more salvation?
Man, I just love it, Bonika. Boy, look, they need to have you on CNN and Good Morning America or somewhere, because you are good. I'm telling you. So one of the things I say, and I don't want to say brag or anything on myself, but I will say I do understand that I'm a broken man. who really walks in transparency. Because again, with men, it's like what Woodrina tell a wife: if you could just get your husband to talk to my husband, just get him to come. If we could get him in there, I know my husband, God is going to use him to do the rest. And we see that so often. So what I'm saying is, it's like men have been surrounded in pride in our culture, pride in their families, because the people that they've listened to or allowed them to lead them, it led them to this place of this ego. So it's like that ego has to be broken. So it's almost like when you're dealing with the man, you have to almost bring him into the light. And we'll see men when they come into the office, I can almost see them break to be like, wow, I can be honest with you. I can be open with you. So that's one of the things that I would say with men. For women, you can't lead your husband to that light by telling him, I need to see if you can get you fixed, or you really want to take him from approaches. And this is what I tell women. I say, this is what I ask you to do. Tell your husband, I am really concerned about how I can be a better wife to you. And really in this session, I really want you to come with me, because I just want you to hold me accountable on doing the things that I'm going to learn on how to love you better. I say, yeah, look at Bonika. So I tell him, I say,
Jedi man trick. Yes.
Look, I tell them, record what I'm saying, write down what I'm saying. I would text you, because again, with this man, you have to lead him carefully, because in any way, if this man feels you're trying to point him out, you're trying to say he's the problem, that lion gonna stand up. And it's almost gonna tell you, no, I'm not the problem. And then it's almost gonna be like, well, I just find me another lion is there. And if you don't want to do what I want you to do, you got to be careful with the way you say it, the way you lead them to understand it's really me. And that's why I thank women. Woodrina would tell you, I tell so many women, thank you for being willing, because when we want women to lead, but then when it comes to that area of nurturing and forgiveness, a lot of men don't want to honor them by saying, it's my wife reason why I'm still here. But that's one of the things that I will say with these men. You have to be careful on the ego mind. And that's why I always tell women, tell them it's coaching. Don't tell them you taking them to no therapy session. Don't tell them you taking them to no counseling session, because that ego just gonna stand. And I'm gonna just tell you, this is also with men who love God. This is not just with men who are unchurched. You will find men unchurched still having that same, well, ain't nothing wrong with me. I've been praying. God ain't said it's me. It ain't got nothing to do with me. It's you. You need to go work on yourself. After you go to that session, you start working on yourself. Then I'll see if I want to go. Again, you just really want to be careful with your approach towards them, because somebody has to have the ability to break that pride in them with wisdom and gentleness.
Yes.
That's real. One of the things I talk about a lot with women, Bonika, is understanding. As much as we are lions as men, we're also lambs. And so you also have to understand how to make sure that when you're dealing with a man, to understand how to deal with that other side. And so I talk about, I know this is not the time now, but I just talk about understanding. There's a lamb in every man, but you have to be able to know how to get to that lamb to cause that lion to just calm down for a minute.
That's deep. Okay, I gotta come to you, sis, Woodrina. Okay, so for my ladies, my wives, who are trying to get their husbands to read the book, trying to get their husbands to come to Coach Martez and Coach Woodrina for counseling, but the husband, they just can't get this man to buy in. And they didn't get that text message from Coach Martez, and they said it word for word. I said, it's about me. I'm the one, said all of that stuff. And the man still just being a hard head, is there anything for the women in waiting that's like trying to see their husband through and not ready to leave, still believing in the marriage, still believing in God, that God can save it, but waiting because they have this, husband that's prideful? And is there anything for the wives that you can give them, Coach Woodrina, as you think about you know, how Martez got there. What can the wives do?
Right. And so what I tell women in this situation, you want to be the change that you want to see. So what I tell them, you during this time, because like you said, you were key when you said they want to wait. See, the only women that can really do this are those who know they're married to their destiny partner. Because when you know you're married to your destiny partner, then you know this is just a season, it's just a phase he's going through, and I know we're going to get on the other side. So in the process of you waiting, you want to make sure that you're being the change that you want to see. So you want to make sure you're being polite, you're not having an attitude, you're showing him much love, you're valuing him, respecting him, regardless of what you're getting from him. You want to be that you want to see from him. You want to make sure you remain consistent with being that during that season in your relationship, because eventually what you're giving is going to be reciprocated. Eventually it's going to come back around to you, but you got to stay consistent. So yeah, it may be challenging. You may not, oh, why I got to keep doing this because he just not, but no, you got to stay on that word that you got, that you know that he's your destiny partner. Because I always tell women, if you're going to stay through the mess, that means God is giving you a grace for it. You're going to have a certain level of grace while you're going through that. I mean, it could be chaos all around you. You could be on a up and down on an emotional roller coaster, but there is an inner peace that you have when you're going through, and that's what you have to hold on to as you continue to just remain consistent in doing the things that you want to see in your relationship.
Right. Yeah. And I just say, just to add to that, it's also what Woodrina is saying, because it's something that I talked about in the book. You start treating your partner, that man to that lady, you start treating him like God had already answered your prayer. That's what I had to do for Woodrina. You know, in the midst of going through what we was going through, when Woodrina actually looked at me and said, Bonika, I love you, but I'm no longer in love with you. You know what I'm saying? That's what my wife said to me. But then on this ear, I heard God saying, but you all going to be ministers of reconciliation. You all are going to be saving and building marriages and doing all of this. So although I heard Woodrina, I heard God. So what I would do was I would talk to Woodrina like what God said is already done, regardless of what you were saying to me. So, and I know that's hard. I tell people, man, I know this is hard. But when you lock into it, it's almost like an athlete. When you lock into knowing, boom, coach said, if we do this, this is going to be the result. And I know this is what's going to happen. And you just believe it. You start speaking it as if it's already done. And I know we done heard preachers saying this stuff, but I'm telling you, I lived it. Woodrina, she right here. When my wife was telling me, I hear you, but that's not me. I would simply say, I understand you don't see it yet, but I'm telling you, it's already done.
That's so deep. So yeah. Okay. So that brings me to another point, because it is like, you know, this like pendulum of like, sometimes you feel good, sometimes you don't. Like, we go through our, ebbs and flows in the relationship. And so this is a twofold question. It's one, it kind of goes to that, the Married for Life conference where you talk about, the sentiment of never letting go of the hand that you're holding. And so when it's tough to hold the hand, what do? You just keep holding the hand? And how long do you hold the hand before you know, like, oh, maybe this is not my destiny partner. Maybe it's time to let go? Or like, is there some advice that you can give folks on never let go of that hand, but knowing, if and when I should let go of the hand? Or any thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because of course we live that. So one of those things that it goes back to like what Woodrina said, first of all, you're going to have a grace. When you lose that grace, you absolutely know it. I have no grace for this no more. And it's like, God, yes, I hear you, but no, the grace is gone. Okay, that's one thing. You're not going to have the grace to deal with. When I talk about holding hands, like we'll say, holding hands is a principle that cannot be based off of emotions. So in other words, when I'm holding your hand, like I would tell people, we talk about in the book, that was the time I was holding Woodrina's hand. Her hand felt like ice cold. It was ice. She did not want to hold my hand.
Woodrina was like, get off me, get off my hand.
Her hand was like ice. I felt it, I knew it, but I was so warm because I understood purpose. I understood destiny. I understood what God said. So for me, the way her hand felt, that was just an emotional feeling of where she was and what she was going through. But I already knew God was saying, but you all are going to come out of this. And so, but again, I still knew this was happening. So me holding her hand was principle based and not emotional based. Remember, this was a woman looking at me saying, I'm no longer in love with you, but I'm saying, I hear you. I understand, but that's not what God said. That would be my
those emotions. You were still holding that. So the warmth of your purpose and your passion for this marriage sounds like it kind of melted that cold hand. Eventually, it kind of evolved and melted a little bit. So that you just kept giving and giving and giving and kept pouring and pouring and pouring, and eventually that ice started melting. Y'all was popping things again.
And it's a process. It's a process, and it could take, and you know, for us, it took months. It took almost like 9 months. It took a while. So it's different for everybody. But like he says, you're gonna know because you were, like I said at first, you're gonna know because you're gonna have that grace. It's gonna be an inner peace that you're gonna have that I just can't. You just have to know it. You're gonna have that inner peace. But then I would encourage people too, you know, to help, because, you know, like I tell people, Martez was special. And I really, because really the conversations that we had throughout our healing process, like a normal man wouldn't be able to handle what I would be saying to him. So I totally understand, like, God just really like gifted him. It was purpose for him to bear that cross for other men and for other women, other relationships. But for, you know, your average person, I would say you would really want to, you know, to help you through that process, really think about, you know, what was those reasons that you fell in love with him in the first place, him or she. You know, think back to, you know, who you know that person is at their core. You know, you may not be seeing that person now, but just thinking about, like, I know your potential. I know who you can be. Thinking about your future. You know, you have to really encourage yourself during those times, but you have to do that. And I mean, it's challenging, but you really have to fight that mental fight, because it's really a mental battle that you're in.
And I want to make sure to say this for everyone that's listening too. But Bonika, because one of the things that we say is this: ask yourself honestly, if we weren't going through this challenge, would I still be happy and want to stay in this marriage? So you don't make the challenge or the circumstance the reason why I'm trying to decide, do I want to be here or not? So what I'm saying is, Bonika, that person who's listening, remember, just ask yourself truthfully, if this wouldn't have happened, would I still want to be here? Because again, this that happened, you can overcome. But if you honestly say, even if this wouldn't have happened, I still wouldn't have been here. That's a sign. Because like I tell people, sometimes challenges come to make you strong. Sometimes these challenges and these things come because it's almost like spirit saying, time to go. This is it. Time to go. But anyway, I just wanted to add
that's good too, because I do think you're right. People get so caught up in the situation, those moments, and not look at, you know, the big picture. We just so focused on this moment and winning this little thing, and you can lose everything because you focused on that one little moment. But also, one of the things I want to, it sounds like you guys, I don't know if y'all said it, but I felt like this was what I took from it was, if people are still coming to y'all or still hopeful that, oh, I wish this person would read the book, or if they would just do this, it sounds like if there's still hope, then you still need to stay in the fight, right? It sounds like with what I heard you saying, you said something, Coach Martez, that made me think, you know, if they still on the bubble or on the fence or still have hope, then they still in the fight, because otherwise they wouldn't even be here talking to y'all, looking at your website, reading the book, asking me what they can do. Then they already gone. They already checked out. So the heart, it sounds like if the heart is still trying to ask questions or be hopeful, that there's still some fight there to have. Is that what y'all, is that a fair assessment?
Exactly. Okay. That's exactly what we're saying.
Because we can't even get them to y'all if there is no hope.
Right.
Oh no, thank you. But we would help them anyway.
Right.
We would help them to understand that in actuality, it's like, let us help you all to understand how to be amicable with each other, how to co-parent together, how to move forward, and just understand, you know what, we still have to be friends because of our kids. Or we have couples to do that.
Yeah, actually we
because
do.
When
so you guys help people with the exit as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Because when you come, if we discover that you're not
destiny partners, then what are you doing?
Right.
I don't care how much money you can pay me. Make this person love me. No, they can't love you.
Right.
Why come she don't love me, coach? Because you just help people understand it was never meant to be.
Right.
You all
wow, I love that. So you guys can help them in the exit strategy as well, and the co-parenting strategy, and the
absolutely.
I love that. Okay, so that's good. So everybody's not worth salvation. Not worth. I should say that. They worth salvation with the person that they should be, their destiny partner.
Exactly, with their destiny partner.
But if it's not the destiny partner, ain't no need in trying to salvage it, right?
Right. Exactly. So I just wanted to say this, Bonika, because of the fact, like I tell some people, when it comes to destiny, we still want to help you fulfill what God put you on this earth to do. If you're with the wrong person, they're really causing you to be distracted and taking you down detours that's taking you away from destiny. So what we would want to do is help that person understand, just like they feel distracted by you, there's a destiny partner waiting on them, just like there's a destiny partner waiting on you. We just need to help you all to understand how to forgive, let some things go, accept some hard truths, and realize, man, when we're both walking in destiny, we're going to still be able to be great co-parents together. That's real. Now that's real.
That's deep. That was a word. That was a word. Because I love that, because you might not be my destiny. You my detour, my distraction, so I can get back to my destiny. But you're not the destiny. That's a word. That's a word. Oh,
that's for real. I'm telling you.
That's deep. Okay, y'all are amazing. This is why I had to bring y'all back, because there's so much that was left to uncover, and I needed to uncover it. And before I let you guys go, I have to ask this question, because I have so many people out there that says, yes, I want to be married. I'm not married. I'm still looking for my partner. I'm still trying to make sure I'm finding the right person I'm dating. So for my single people, for all the single people, that's here today, I want you guys, what can you give the single people some advice? What should our single people do to prepare themselves for their marriage while they're dating? Or if they want to date, what should they do while they're in waiting for preparation?
Right. So go ahead, baby.
I believe that first of all, you need to know yourself. You need to know who you are. Because it's very important for you to understand, before you can even get married, you have to really understand who you are and be confident in being who you are. Because it's so important to really just be able to be your true, authentic self. But if you don't know who you are, then you can't be that. But it's important for you to know that. So I feel like when you're single, that's your time to be working on all your stuff, getting to know yourself, accepting yourself, being confident in who you are, so that you can be your true, authentic self when the relationship comes about. And not only that, knowing your core values and your convictions. And like I tell women, the single women I work with, you need to set your boundaries and you need to abide by them. Don't let no man come along and cause you to actually cross one of your boundaries or one of your convictions. That's why it's important for you to know yourself and be confident in who you are.
That's good.
That's good.
That's good. I would just ask them to become destiny detectives. Just remember that, Bonika. Destiny detectives.
Yeah, right.
So what that means is, I tell, and this is something Atlanta taught us when we came here in 2013, because, of course, I was military. We lived in Virginia Beach. So, I was used to coaching and being around military families. Coming here to Atlanta, it's a new world. What I tell people is, you want to be able to research and validate everything that person says, accept nothing as truth until you can research and validate. So in other words, become like a destiny detective. I hear you. I mean, take all this stuff in, you know what I'm saying? But take it in, but still be willing to know, I got to research it and I got to validate it. Don't take it for face value.
Or you going to be like that girl. What was that lady? That lady
Look, everybody was telling us about that. I gotta
She didn't marry this man, and he like had a whole life she didn't know about. She been on camera hall and everything. If you're not a good destiny detective, you gonna wind up like her. I forget her name now.
Yeah, I can't remember either. Because somebody just told us about that a few weeks ago. We had missed the whole
thing. I
thing.
remember her name, but yeah, she married this man. It was a hot mess. But I know I said that was the last question, but I lied because I got one more because people need y'all. Because when I see you were saying something, Coach Regina, and you said he's special, and you were looking at him, and he was just a smile, like you was pouring into him. He was just smiling. He was like, "Yeah, that's me. That's me." It was just like, I mean, like y'all got this thing figured out. I mean, anytime y'all are like 33 years in, still locked and loaded, still saving marriages, have Ron and Shamari, like if one more person said, "Oh my God, they seem so in love," I said the Laytons fixed them, honey. So I have to ask y'all because people are thinking about maybe I need to reach out to the Laytons so they can coach me. And I really want y'all before we end so people can understand what they get from the Laytons, other than what they see on this amazing camera right now. Y'all are amazing. Y'all in love and y'all, sparking other people and igniting the flame for other folks. But one thing y'all said to me during our first Marriage Business Monday, y'all talked about this because y'all like C's too. I noticed that y'all like C's, and y'all mentioned this 3-step approach. It was like, the comforter, the counselor, and the coach. And so I think that's important for people to know. If they come to you guys for support, they're not just getting coaches, they're not just getting counselors. They're getting this 3-step approach. Can y'all, before we end today, I promise this is the last question, but can y'all just talk a little bit about that 3-step approach that you guys work on in your sessions with folks and what they can expect if they come to you guys?
So basically what we talk about, the coach, the counselor, and the comforter, the coach, and the counselor, because we need all three. A lot of times people will feel like, well, I don't need to go to no counselor, or I don't need no coach because, I got the comfort, I got God, I got the Holy Spirit. I'm going to pray. I know I'm going to pray and God going to change my husband. But really, it's like we need all three because we need the prayer, but then we need the counsel, so the counsel can help us to heal emotionally and deal with any mental health disorders we may have, helping us to cope with those. And then we need the coach to motivate us and activate us in our dreams, and then hold us accountable to achieving them. So basically, when you come to us, basically you're getting all three, because not only do we implement, we talk about prayer because prayer is very important in your relationship, but we do meet clients where they are. So if you're not somebody that's there yet, you may not even get that from us. So we are, we are discerning. We meet people where they are. But if you're spiritual, we talking about the prayer, you're getting the prayer, you're getting the counseling. We're talking about the counseling, even though I'm a therapist, I'm a counselor, but I'm with couples, I'm in the role of a coach. But if I'm in the session and I recognize something that is like, you really need to, really talk with the therapist about that, we're going to let you know and refer you to a therapist, because a lot of clients come in and they already are doing their individual therapy while they are working with us. And that's really important. I think a lot of times it's really needed, and we'll tell them you need to be doing it simultaneously. Sometimes we've had clients where we actually will stop and say, you need to go to therapy, and we're going to come back and finish the marriage coaching after you go work that out in therapy.
Right. They got to heal for that trauma before you can.
We can't help you to move forward until you deal with that and you heal from that.
So there's a scripture very quick for me, Bonika. There's a scripture that says, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. The way that filters through my mind is marriages, and I even say some destined marriages are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. So one of the things that we really pride ourselves on doing is enlightening you and educating you and making you aware of the things that the enemy has done to set traps for you. Like I always tell couples, I say, when you come to us, the biggest enemy in your marriage is actually ignorance. It's what you all didn't know. But what the enemy does, he takes that ignorance and causes you all to just start blaming each other for doing this or blaming each other for doing that. But in actuality, if you all would have known how to avoid it, or if you would have known what was coming, you could have prevented that. So that's one of the things that we really pride ourselves on doing, in educating you, enlightening you to understand that as married couples, there are X's on our backs. And what I mean by X is you are a target, because the enemy knows marriage represents God. It represents so many things. It affects legacy and destiny. If he can destroy that, he's going to do it. So if you are a target and you realize my husband is a target, then ask yourself, what am I doing to protect him? What do I need to be aware of how to protect him? And it's vice versa. So it's one of those things. That's why we say it is about ministry, because it is about the holistic person, that we don't want you to just be praying for something and wondering, God, why come it won't change? Because God simply says, because you won't talk to nobody to get healed from it. Okay, well, now I talk to somebody and get healed, but I still don't feel like I'm purpose driven. Well, that's because you ain't help nobody help you to identify what is that purpose for you all as a couple or you as an individual. So all of those things are vitally important. So that's what you get when you come work with the ladies. That's why Ron always says they helped us to identify purpose.
That's deep. Now, do you guys offer coaching virtually and in person?
Absolutely. We have many clients
that's not in Atlanta. They can still enlist. Now, the wonderful thing is, some people when they're going through their marriage woes, they go to a pastor, and some people go to a counselor or a therapist, a psychologist, and some people go to a relationship coach. But if they come to y'all, they got all three. They got the whole package. They got a buy one, get two. They get the paper.
That's it, Bonika. That is it.
They just need to come to y'all and have the total package wrapped in one. You got the comforter, you got the guy, because y'all have the ministry. Y'all already have the spiritual foundation there. You got your therapist who's gonna help with the trauma, the daddy issues for us girls, the mama issues for the boys. We all got it. Coming from these broken homes, this dysfunction. We got all this trauma, so y'all can help with that, and then you can help on the sidelines. All right, get back in the game. You got this. You got this. I love it. It's this 3-step approach. I'm loving this 3-step approach, and I love the fact that our folks that are not in Atlanta can still have access to you guys. So before we go, let them know where they can find you guys.
So you could just go to dreambuilderscoaching.net. Just Google Martez and Woodrina, and it's gonna come up there. And then Instagram, Coach Martez, Woodrina Layton, Dream Builders Coaching. So that's where you'll find us.
Okay, so you guys heard it. Dreambuilders.net, right?
Dreambuilderscoaching.net.
Dreambuilderscoaching.net. Let me make sure I get it right. Dreambuilderscoaching.net. If you want the 3-step approach, you can get it virtually or in person. But I love the 3-step because it's like the Holy Trinity. You need the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. You need the
you're right.
And you need the coach.
Look, God gave that to you.
Yeah, because
we never thought about it like that.
Yes, the Holy Trinity, the 3-step. I'm here for it. So, anyways, I love you guys. I'm probably gonna be asking y'all to come back again because
we want to come back. We love it.
And I just love talking. And every time I talk to y'all, I'm like, oh, it triggers so much more because y'all just so insightful. You got so much wisdom. I don't know how y'all only been married for 33 years because it feels like y'all been married for a lifetime, a century, because y'all have so much wealth of knowledge. So thank you guys very much for spending this evening with us. I appreciate you guys. And I just thank you so much for being a blessing.